Well, I am back again. So good to see all of you again. None of you. Okay, well, I get more watching the restream, anyways. But I wanted to do a follow up to last night's video, and I felt this was kind of important. By the way, if there, oh, apparently I do have one person watching. Please note that if you're entering anything in the chat, there is a good 30-second delay. So I do have this open on my phone. It's so that I can try and see comments come in a little sooner, but there is a bit of a delay. So when you put in a comment, if I don't see it or respond right away, it's usually because there is a good delay here between the time that I'm saying this and the time that you're typing it in and sending it back, and then there's this gap. So you get the idea. So anyways, I did a video last night because I wanted to. I kind of wanted to respond to somebody who had been messaging me, requesting about information about iPads, what was the best one to get, and learning to draw. I think as a young fellow who's learning to draw, wants to start doing comics, and commendable. I always encourage anyone to learn how to draw for whatever reason, whether it's a hobby or even if you're pursuing it as a career. I do believe that is possible. This whole starving artist thing, there's some truth to it and not truth to it. It depends on how you tackle it from the beginning. So that's something for another discussion. But I have always encouraged people to learn how to draw because I think there's a certain mental connection to it. Even if you're not an artist or don't consider yourself an artist, whether you get a tablet or a sketchbook, whatever, you can get a pen and a pad of paper and you start doodling. If you ever sat on a phone and you're listening to somebody who just talks way too much, and they go on and they go on and they go on, and you're sitting there like, you need to do something with your hands. Sometimes we sit and we play games, which is what I sometimes tend to do, or I'll just open something up and start doodling. And sometimes if we have a little note paper and a pen, we'll start doodling, especially in the olden days. Boy, before these cell phone thingies, we had those big clunker things with the dials on the front, and then they became push buttons, and you had to hold it under your phone, under your face the whole time, and and you would put it under your ear like this when they're going on, and you can't really watch TV because you can hear it. So you'd start doodling something, and those little doodles are like these little flashes of this expression of yourself. I've talked a few times about wanting to do a series called Art as Therapy, and I still might do that. I'm just not sure how to approach it yet. But I think even before tablets, there's a real connection between taking a physical item in your hand and putting something down onto a surface. And there's something very therapeutic about that. And that's why I encourage people to, even if you go to the dollar store or a pound store or whatever store is where your place of residence is, get something cheap, pencil crayons, little dollar watercolors, get some paper even if it's not that great, and make that connection. It doesn't have to be anything. It doesn't have to be great. It doesn't have to be anything. It can be something terrible, but regardless of what it is, put something down because it's something that's very uniquely yours. Especially right now in this era of AI, and it's that's our expression every time we see slop, is that we see this thing and that's the noise we make because somebody's just sitting and typing and they want to call it art, and it's hard to call something art when you just typed it. I have played around with it myself. I refuse to make anything artistic with it. I've only done what would be like live action fake actors I've played with, and it's a terrifying medium, and it kind of grosses me out a bit. But here's the thing. You go out to a Michael's store or whatever kind of art store, and you'll see they're still in business. They're still selling paints, and they're still selling pencils, and they're still selling their sketchbooks and their erasers and all that good stuff, because people want something physical. There's something about, making a little cup of tea and putting on some soft music in the background and putting it on the desk, and then you start doing something, and you grab this tool and you put it down. You feel the texture of the paper, and you put down, say, watercolor, and then you put down another color, and you watch it bleed together, and you blob it around, and you push it around, and it seeps into the paper. Or maybe it's acrylic and it just kind of blobs on top, and or maybe it's a pencil crayon, and you start to color an area, and you can see the fibers of the paper, and how it's picking it up, and you put another color on top to see if you can, you put yellow and blue to see if it'll make green, and you do that, and there's something very, very, very therapeutic and connective about that. It's almost, dare I say, into this kind of, I hate using this terminology, something kind of primal. I say that because, in the olden days, when our ancestors used to paint drawings on cave walls, and it was their way of communicating or expressing an event that just happened. They were usually hunting, because I think that's what they usually did most of the time, is they'd hunt and then they'd eat. That was kind of their life. And so most of the paintings were about hunting. And now we can do paintings of like coffee shops, and I don't know, I'm waiting for paintings to start coming up of people just sitting online arguing. Simply the new thing to do. But that's something very tangible. It's physical, that you can see it and touch it, and it's real. And it's where you learn to get a feel for what you're creating. So when you're learning to draw, because when I went and learned, it was all pencil to paper. There was no digital tablets. We put pencil to paper, and you got a feel for the grit of the paper. And as you're drawing, you're learning to move your arm a certain way, and you're not just drawing circles and squares, but you're thinking three-dimensionally, and you're drawing spheres and cubes, and you're doing that on this flat sheet of paper, because there's no CGI there involved yet. But when you did that, it was also very permanent. I mean, you could erase it. They encourage you not to erase, and that if it was wrong the first time, to just do it again, and do it again, and do it again. If that line goes down and it's wrong, just put it down again, and do it again until you see it. And when you see it, go over that line a few more times until it's darker, right? And that's kind of how, and if you look at old sketches from famous artists going way back, you'll see that. You'll see these really sketchy sketch artists, sketch drawings of all these lines, and then one that's like really solidified. And they're not chicken scratches. You're not making these little short ones, because if people want to take and do these little short, you want to make these full long lines, right? And that's where it's, when you're working with big sheets of paper like this that are bigger than any tablet, that's where you can really get into this movement, and you can really feel the energy. So you have a pose of somebody's in some sort of, we just do life drawing, somebody's some pose, and you can see that movement in the pose, and you get it down there really fast and hard. And there's something very electrifying about that, and very very energetic about that, and it's enjoyable. And I wish I could encourage people to partake in more things like that. And everybody's like, I can't draw a straight line. Well, no, nobody can. And in fact, straight lines are boring. You don't want to draw straight. Ask any artist, you're not about drawing straight lines. We're drawing crazy lines. I can't even draw a stick man. So neither could I when I started. I still can't do stick men properly. So I gave up on that and did something else. It's not about drawing better or good. It's about getting that thing out. And even if it's, regardless of whatever it looks like. And so I encourage people to find a medium that you like. Markers, pencils, paints, whatever it is. If you find something that's like, ooh, I like that, and I like the feel of that, and I like the look of that, then get some and do it. And even if it's like I said, the cheap dollar store brand at first because you're on budget, do it anyways. So even though in this digital age we tend to work a lot on tablets now and on iPads, which is great, because that way you can save your work digitally, you can share it, and you know there's a lot of shortcuts. If you're just starting out, get that pad of paper, get get a cheap set of pencils, and just start doing it. Start looking. If you want to get better at it, if you really want to learn to be a better artist, that niche has kind of got to, especially if you want to pursue it as a way of living, and then do it every day. Make it part of your life. Make everything you put down exciting. Even when you hate it, there's something exciting about doing it. Find the YouTube demos. Find books. Find whatever you can. You know, if you can't afford books, there's always stuff online. There's free PDFs. Lots of people have done how-to drawing videos. In fact, a lot of artists stopped doing how-to videos because it got so saturated. Back about 10, 15 years ago, like all the artists were doing how to draw anatomy. And because I wanted to try and start doing a series like that, but everybody was doing it. And there was hundreds of them. I thought, there's got to be a different approach. I can't do what everybody else is doing. I understand you want to try and make your own unique voice and all that kind of thing, but it was just overdone. So if you're learning, you look at some of these videos and go back 10 years. I know as much as I'm not. There's Jazza, who Draw with Jazza was his old channel. I have certain thoughts about Jazza, but regardless, he did do a whole thorough series on anatomy, and there was some good stuff there. If you go back to like his older videos about 10 to 15 years ago, you'll see some really good stuff there on how to get started. And you know, as there is books, the young feller that I was talking to said he had this, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. So this, he said he felt like he wasn't at this stage yet. And yes, there is a degree in here where you have to have a little bit of a level of skill before you get this to try and bump it way up. And he feels he's just kind of not just below that. And I would encourage him and anyone to open it and just sort of read through it. Get an idea of what they're talking about in this book, because I think there's some really, really useful information in here. And if you can get some of this good stuff in your head, it will pay off in the end. If you want to really pursue art and you want to do comics, you want to do something that whether it's a really, even if it's a hobby, but you want to make it like a solid hobby, you want to put it out on the internet, or you want to make a story, or maybe you want to pursue a career in comics, or you want to be an artist, sure, I would still encourage it. You want to start working on the fundamentals. You want to start working on your line quality. You want to start learning kind of how to start holding that pencil properly. You want to work on your anatomy, start learning that. Get a sense of volume and weight. Start learning perspective, proper perspective. My goodness. Don't have cutout characters walking on horizontal floors crossways. Start learning how things go on surfaces and how they disappear properly into the background. Oh, I don't know why bad perspective annoys me. I'm horrible. But yeah, learn all this stuff. And I also encourage you on a couple of things on this, and while I'm on this topic, because there's something very frustrating. So real talk here. Try and get into a course. I know they're expensive, but if you really want to learn how to draw, try not to be completely self-taught. You can get in an unknowing rut because you have no proper feedback. You have no one to kind of slap you in the face and tell you your stuff's not good enough, and that's a hard thing to learn. If you're really trying to pursue it as something, you've got to take that feedback that somebody's telling you, this kind of sucks. That's not a bad thing. You want to hear that because you want to go back and learn, what am I not seeing? What is it my brain is accepting in this, but no one else, everyone else is going to see that this is not right. And so you want to work on that, and to have a really good instructor that will guide you, that's a good mentor that you can take your stuff to, and it will give you an honest review of that. and tell you where you need to strengthen your work to make it stronger and look better, because that's what you want. So you can be self-taught for a little while to get started, but get yourself a good mentor, somebody you can show your work to, who'll give you like the real hard truth and bitch slap it to you, or if you can, get in a course. I never thought, I need to check my audio. If I've been talking here and this is not coming through. Okay, so it is coming through. Good. Yeah. And I know lots of people who didn't do that, and they do some pretty good stuff, and they've managed to sell. They've made a little business for themselves. Some of them, they've managed to sell shirts, and they've gotten a good following on YouTube, and that's fantastic. But you'll see their stuff has a certain limitation to it, and I know I'm going to get people really angry at me. This is not to come down on them, but you'll see their stuff is just like this, and you'll never be able to kind of branch out into this, right? And you can see when you start looking, look at the people who have kind of branched out into this as opposed to people who have just done this, and you'll be able to tell the difference if you look hard enough. And it all just comes down to a lot of practice, and as I said, getting yourself a good mentor. If you can't afford a good course, right, and you have an instructor, and they're telling you how to do something, and you feel like that what they're telling you how to do it, you can't get it to work. I can't get it to work, but you're still doing things your way, and they're telling you, try and let go of that and start trying to do this, branch out. Because when you start doing that, it feels awkward and it doesn't feel right, and something feels wrong, and then now my work looks like garbage again. I think I'm just going to keep doing it my way. And your instructor is trying to tell you, don't keep doing that, because you'll never get any better. You'll never go much further in any kind of industry, especially if you want to get into animation. If you want to go work for a comic book company and draw comics, that's a company, right? You want to work for these people. They have certain standards, and they're looking for things, and you've got to be able to adapt to that style. If you're working on an animated film, you have to be able to shift your drawing to that style of that film. You can't go off model when they put out model sheets. You might be in one studio one day doing this kind of project, another studio another few weeks later doing this project, and you've got to jump between those styles. Having that flexibility, you can move within that. But don't dismiss your instructor's instruction. And I put down a quote. I heard somebody say once a long time ago, and I wish I could find it. It's in my notes, and I don't know if I should try bringing it up now. Maybe I'll save it again for another video, because I probably won't be able to find it. But now I'm looking for it. Oh my god. I won't find it. This is it. That's something else. The skills you require for your next piece of art can be found in your last piece of art. Yes, that is true. What you need to know for your next piece of art is contained in your last piece. Yes. So everything you learn is a new experience that you'll move forward, right? So, and I think that's also something really important. I'm going to kind of probably maybe touch on that another time, but that is something kind of really important. And I wish I could... how long ago was that quote? Oh my god, did I find it? Teaching creativity. Yeah, I actually did find it. Sorry, I'm jumping slightly off topic, but you can't teach creativity. You can help build some guidelines, but you can't teach it. Some students are so locked into some of those blocks and so proud of them that they will be creative in avoiding mastering their creativity. Right? Some students are so locked into some of those blocks and so proud of them that they will be creative in avoiding mastering creativity. You can create an environment for it. You can coach it, be a consultant, prompt and encourage it. But if a student doesn't desire it, or their greater desire is to resist instruction. And so I encourage you to not resist instruction. Even if it feels bad, even if it feels like you're making your art worse. It's there for a reason. That was in 2023. And I can't think of the guy's name. I can see it. He used to do interviews with Procoa as an older gentleman who's really funny, actually, but very talented and very, very good artist. And I can see him, and I'm having a senior moment. I've lost his name, even though it'll hit me later. I know who it is. Yeah. I got this far. I didn't plan any further than this. But that is it. So to this young fella, I would encourage you to grab a sketchbook, grab some pencils, and just start anyways. Don't be afraid of this. Pull this book out, even if you're just sort of drawing some of the pictures you're seeing. These things like the lines of action, like this, these dynamics, start doing those, but don't keep it loose and in motion. You'll notice how fast these are done. Don't copy them, but see if you can. You don't want to copy them, but you want to get a feel of the energy that's coming through on it. And it's these long strokes, right? These long, loose strokes. This will. I can't sort of just put it into words and make you get it instantly. This is why I do encourage finding mentors and getting feedback on work that you're making and learning how to do it. If you can get into a small course, I know what, it's not affordable. Courses are expensive. Even just a simple short drawing class that might be 6 to 8 weeks can be pricey. And I know this fellow's thinking about getting an iPad, and that's good too. But if you get an iPad, don't just stop at that. Keep drawing pencil to paper. Draw it. You know, it's a really good idea. This is what I used to do before I had these big honkin' XP Pen tablets. I would do it by pencil, and then I would even ink it. But my inking is always terrible. I've always had a bit of a... I love inking. I love doing it, but I have a shaky hand, and it was always kind of be a little bit messy in places. So I would take the phone or your iPad and go into the scanning feature, not the photo, go into the scanning feature on it and scan it, because you'll get a nice sharper line with the scan as opposed to a photo, which can be a little bit blurry. You can use photo if you know where it is, but go into the scanning feature, and if you know where that is, I can always help you find that. Scan it in and then open it up in Procreate or whatever drawing, or Adobe Fresco, and from there you can actually clean the line work up. You can go over it and clean it, and then you can color it in the program and all that good stuff. So I do. So that is one way to do it. You keep drawing your stuff. It keeps it loose, right? And until you're comfortable, and then you can kind of draw on the glass in the iPad, but still keep drawing it. Or sketches, even if it's a sketch, and then scan the sketch and then ink it in the program, right? That's because you get that first time dynamic line. Sometimes we can lose things in that process of putting it on in an iPad, and I'm guilty because I've done a lot of drawing on these big things, and on my iPad I'm just as guilty too. And I am going to start doing some videos in the very, very near future. Like this summer I'm going to be busy on my desk next to me here, because I have piles of art supplies that have sat here for ages. I've got watercolors, I have watercolor markers, I have Copic markers and alcohol markers, and I have all kinds of paints, and I'm going to pull it out and start doing shit on live stream, because it's got to be used, and I've got to start making something with it. Some of it's like really old, and I kind of want to use it and make use of it. I have these lovely oil pastels my folks gave me years ago that I've hardly made that much with them, and I want to use them. I actually feel kind of guilty that I haven't, that I've never really used them that much, and they're a very nice set, and they're still good. They're still really good. So those are going to get used very soon. And I can't wait to do that. I can't wait. I made these little. These are from some videos I did a long time ago. These little doodles that I made, and these are with Tombow markers. And I did a whole thing on how to use them, and I'll do them again because this is really cool. Tombow water-based markers are a completely different beast than alcohol markers, and you have to paint completely differently with them. And I'll kind of go through the difference on both of those because everybody loves alcohol markers. There's a sort of obsession still with that. I remember when they started being really popular about 15 years ago, and holy crap, Copic was just like, couldn't keep them on the shelves, and they were expensive. But my goodness. Can I fix this? That looks off-center to me. Maybe I can't if I've already started. Oh, I can move it. Look at that. That's better. I don't know why that was bothering me so much. Anyways, how y'all doing? I had 2 people watching. Now I'm down to 1. So, yeah, that was... And I have this set up to do the screen here because I have... what's it called? Clip Studio Paint. If you're an artist and you're doing digital art on a big tablet, you should be using Clip Studio Paint. I don't care who you are. Photoshop can go to hell. I can't stand Adobe. If you're an artist, you should be using Clip Studio. It's a hell of a lot cheaper. And is designed by artists for artists. There are other programs depending on what kind you are doing, but especially if you're like comics. If you can afford it, on its own, for the desktop version, it's not that expensive. If you want it on the iPad, now the nice thing is the iPad version is not dumbed down, not like Photoshop, which is crap. It's way dumbed down. That's why you have Fresco on an iPad, and Fresco is free. But if you... to get Clip Studio Paint on an iPad, though, even if you're only getting the full thing, you kind of have to, you either have it just for the desktop, which is fairly inexpensive, or you have the plan for both, and it's a monthly fee. I forget what it is. I think it's $10 a month, so it can come. That adds up to like $120 a year, I think. I'm not sure if you prepay a year, if there's deals on that. I'd have to look for it. I never use it on the iPad. Just because I'd rather open that up on the desktop because there's a lot of stuff in it. There's a lot. The iPad, you've got good programs on the iPad like Fresco and Procreate, and I've got a bunch there that I can use, and I can convert stuff back and forth if I need to. But if you really like Clip Studio and you're on that and you can afford it, sure, get it so that you can use it for both. Because I know lots of people who have, and there's 2 versions of it. There's like the Pro. And like there's the regular, which they call the Pro, and there's the EX. If you make comics and you're really into making comics, you can still use the basic one. The other version helps you organize your pages and numbers them and helps you put that book together in the program. That's much more expensive. And it's the same arrangement for pricing. If you want it on the iPad and on your desktop. But again, I have the really base one just for the desktop. I don't have it for the iPad, and I don't have the EX, and I can still make comics with this. You don't have to. And it has a brilliant layout. I've done lives about this. You can always go back and see them. Lots of people have shown how to make your comic layout, like your boxes. And how customizable that is. And it gives you templates, and you can mess around with all those templates. And it's incredible. You can put in your dialogue, your bubbles, your arrows. All of that goes in, and then you can draw in each of those boxes and have its own set of layers for each box. And you can work on each one individually, and then all comes together as one page. It is so fantastic. And I have a 2020 M1 Mac Mini that I use for this, and it handles it very well. This little thing is still amazing. I remember I got that thing. I had an old 2012 um, Intel Mac Mini that was just slow as molasses. And when I got that M1, it was just like a dream. Just the thing came on and away I went. And it still has not let me down to this day. I know sometimes Macs can slow down over years, but this thing has not. And it still handles like Final Cut Pro editing and all that good stuff. So I'm sticking with my M1. The only reason I might sell it one day and upgrade is because I'd like to get some value back for it. Because the older it is, the more they depreciate. So I'd like to open something up here. So I'd like something back on that. But they're apparently, I don't know if this is true or not. There's been some rumors. We've heard about the MacBook Neo, which is kind of a simplified, cheaper MacBook, and they're selling fantastically. They can't keep them on the shelves. They can't even make the chips fast enough for it. They might be doing the same thing for Mac Minis. There might be a Mac Mini Neo. I love the idea, but it wouldn't suit me because I do use a lot of art programs and graphic stuff. So I still kind of need that M level, the M level Macs. But I'm sitting here with an M1 and it's doing fantastic. Let me see. Let me go into camera view 2. And hopefully you can still hear me. Let me know if you cannot. This is Clip Studio, everyone. This is it. Let me see if I can shrink me out of the way a little bit more. There's just some color stuff down there. It's not important. Okay, don't go that low. Actually, I'm going to go over there. Okay. Because there's less over there. Not that this matters. There's nothing important over there anyways. Just this is blank. All right. Blank page. Look at that. Now, the only thing Clip Studio does not have that a lot of these other programs do, such as Photoshop and Pixelmator. I have Pixelmator as well. Pixelmator is great. It's used for other things. You can draw with it, and you can make art with it. And you can even do comics in it, and I've demoed that. But it was kind of not really designed for that, which is a shame. I think that's a bit of a loss. I hope they one day kind of can tap into that for artists. But the one thing, though, that Clip Studio doesn't have, and I think they do it on purpose, is it doesn't have that auto click for drop shadows and outlining. Oh, it does do outlining. It's a bit different on this. But things like the drop shadows and the outer glow and inner glow, you have to create those from scratch using your layers. It can be done much more customizable that way. You have more control, but it's several more steps. So that's the only thing. But otherwise, though, this arranges your tools differently. And if you're used to Photoshop, you're not going to be. This will be a little bit of a jump, right? I won't go too much into this, but you'll see your tools down here. But when I click on a tool like a pencil, you'll see I've got this one up here that says pencil. It's highlighted, and I see you have all your selection. Here's another one that says pastel. So if I tap on pastel, that's another group of different kinds of pastels. Now let's go into a bigger one. Here's a pen. There's 3 of them. There's regular pens. This comes with the program, something called Rusty Nib that I got as a special program from True Grit. And I sort of paid for the set, but he got a huge set of like nibs and for doing inking. And then there's another set here that says marker. Again, this was, I think, free with Clip Studio. Even go more complicated. You see there's 3 of them here at the top right now. Look, I'll go into paints. Oh, there's a whole bunch of them here, and each one of these is something. So there's like, here's a set of watercolors. This is a set of realistic watercolors. Here's thick gouache, India. Here's one for hair. Tones. These are, here's your comic tones, right? This was that I think was also from True. Here's different series from True Grit. This was the I think one of their samplers. Right? You've let's see. Oh, here's the one. This was a little bit pricey. This one I got it on sale. That was about $20 that I paid for it. But it's the old style of how they did comics, colored comics, and you can kind of right. You can recreate it on your computer, because it's the old way of printing they don't do anymore, but you can mimic that, including like distressing as well. So there's like subtle decay that you can put on it that show like the decay of paper, heavy destruction. So you can really make a comic page look, look at this, ink stains. You can really make something look old and degraded, right? It has all that to mimic that, which is great. So I have a whole thing for that. So there's a whole bunch of them here. Like, and there's stuff you can bring in for free too. So I'll go back to the pencil. When you get Clip Studio, now what they do is you have like your Clip Studio Paint, which is your workshop, which is this. And then you also get your Clip Studio, kind of your home page, but it's not a web browser. It's actually a separate part of the program. And in that, you can organize your membership. You can get all kinds of downloads for new kinds of pens and all of this. Where's my mouse? All of this stuff up here. You can add a bunch of stuff. Some of them cost money. There's a whole bunch that are free. God, I've downloaded so much free stuff. And the stuff that costs money, there's a way they use something called Clippy points, I believe. Then with coins, like a coin system, so you can pre-buy like a bunch of coins, and you can spread those coins out and spend them on different things, different kind of downloads, depending on what you're getting. Some are more than others. I think and every once in a while they'll have like sign in each day and you'll get a bunch of free coins, and so you can do something like that, right? They'll have once in a while. So I get a few extra bonus stuff. This also has, I don't use it, it has 3D modeling as well, if you want to bring in like 3D models and that you want to trace off of it if you're trying to get a pose right. I've never used it. I do have somewhere, somebody got me this. Well, actually I paid for it, but he kind of dug it up. Oh, it's stuck. There we go. Ooh. These, it's buried in the box. These little body coon things that you can arrange, so it's a way I can kind of look at a pose and as a reference, and then I can kind of figure it out from there. I'd much rather do it that way than trace off like a 3D image. But your comic panels, I believe, are in here. Let me see if I can find it. There's all your downloads there of your markers and pens. Oh, there's your 3D poses, by the way, you can bring in. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Your comic panels you can drag in and you can make customizable. I have to set up actually a proper comic page. I've set up for illustration, which is a little bit different than a comic page. When you first start up the program, you can go into like new, and you can choose. This is set for illustration. So there's comics, more customizable comics, and there's animation. You can kind of do animation on this. I don't do. Whoops, I don't want that. I don't do animation on here because it's a little bit limiting. You only have so much you can do with it, but you can do it if you need like a little 5-second thing of movement. But I'm looking into using Procreate Dreams. But anyways, that's Clip Studio. As I said, that's a bigger, more complicated program. Of all the big ones right now, I mean, I won't get Adobe. I have so many issues with Adobe now. I'm really pissed at them. So Photoshop is like dead to me. Clip Studio, that's the way to go. And if you can't afford Clip Studio, you can still get Adobe Fresco. That's the only one that I will recommend because it's free. Desktop ones, what's the name of the other free art program? God, I'm drawing a blank. Krita. Krita is also completely free. I've tried to play around with it a little bit. I couldn't. It was a bit odd to me. But if you start early on and you kind of push your way through the learning curve, you can do lots with it. You can do lots with Krita. It's designed by artists for artists, right? Similarly as Clip Studio. It's just a bit, unusual, and I think I just didn't feel like I had the time I wanted to put into it since I already had Clip Studio, and I also have Pixelmator. Pixelmator was bought by Apple. It's part of their Creative Suite now, and they have. You can buy it outright individually still, or you can have it included in the Creative Suite that you pay monthly. and you get a few extra bells and whistles. Is actually just some simple AI stuff that I don't care about. But what was nice is if I'm making something where I need that drop shadow, specifically like if I'm doing big lettering, I'm doing big block lettering for something, some kind of design. Um, Pixelmator is really great for that. You can get the glow, you can get the drop shadow, and it's all really nicely customizable. There's a whole bunch of little extra bells and whistles in there that's really nice. So I have it for that. The only other program I have on the desktop is Sketchbook, and I really love Sketchbook because it's a really simplified interface. That when you pay, I think one and done, it's like $25, I think. Don't quote me, might be a bit more than that now. And you can you get that for both your desktop and your iPad at the same time. And they're both now identical on both. The iPad version used to be a little bit dumbed down. It's laid out slightly different, but all the same stuff is all still there. So unfortunately, the only thing was that all the tools that I added to it didn't carry over into iPad. I would have to go back and add them all in again on the iPad version. Not sure now if it will do that, but I know at the time that I got it, it wouldn't do it, and so I'm kind of. But anyways, it's not a big deal. So yeah, that's it. I hadn't really kind of planned to do a whole lot of drawing, but I was talking earlier about getting kind of like lines of action down, and when you have like a dynamic pose, you want to just get the motion of a pose down, and then from there you can kind of figure out where a character is going to move within that, right? And look at this stick man. Right, so you can kind of get the flow of the character, and you see I'm just putting long straight lines down. I'm not doing little chicken scratches and making things look hairy. That just looks terrible. Get it down. If it's not right, get it down again until you kind of see it and you want to emphasize it, right? Anyways, that's kind of about it tonight that I wanted to cover. I wish I had a little bit more. Wish I had a few more viewers and a little more interaction, because I would love to get some questions in. I had more of an audience last night. Did I do it earlier last night? I don't remember. Haven't been able to change the thumbnail on that either. I just get it won't let me change it for some reason. Maybe it needed to finish uploading in full quality. I don't know. But I'm going to go back and see if I can update yesterday's video, if I can fix that. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free. I encourage everyone to get a little sketchbook, get a pencil, even an eraser, even though I try to encourage people not to erase too much, but get it anyways if it just means doing something creative, and have fun with it, and don't worry about looking bad or good. It's never about that, right? So yeah, what's the old saying? Go out and make something awesome today. Go create something. Grab a tool and move it around. No, that just sounds wrong. But don't be afraid of the blank page. Blank page is the hardest thing to get past, and there's all, even as a seasoned artist, looking at a blank page, you kind of go, ugh, because you're scared that whatever you're going to put down is going to be wrong. But you're never going to know until it's actually down. So put it down, and if it's wrong, you start again. And yeah, if you have like a good sketchbook, it's there. It's there permanently. That's what a sketchbook is. Your sketchbook is meant to get the bad stuff out until you're ready to do the final product. The thing I find kind of frustrating is people want to see your sketchbook. I mean, we're kind of past that now, because we're working so much more digitally. And I was not a big one to have sketchbooks. I get packs of paper instead, so that I had loose paper that I could move around. I didn't want it combined to a sketchbook. One of the things it was because people always wanted to see your sketchbook, and I was like, this is like my bad stuff, and they're like, I don't care, I want to see your bad stuff. And stuff I was embarrassed about, things I didn't want to open up and people seeing. So I got to a point where it's like, people say, I want to see your sketchbook. No, I don't have one now. That's not how I work. So yeah. Anyways, I can't think of anything else, but you know, if since there's nobody watching now, if you are watching this in repeat, by all means, send me a message, and I appreciate you watching it. This was just a bit of a talking head video, and part of this is also for me just to get used to doing regular streams again. I want to make this a regular thing. One day I would like to get Talk Studio back. I'm right now just using Streamlabs, but it'd be nice to get Talk Studio back again. And I talked about that yesterday. Go see yesterday's video to know what the hell I'm talking about, right? So go out, be good to each other, and when shit on the internet is getting you down, turn it off. Turn it off. Go out. Do something creative. Take photos. Take some wonderful photos, and then bring them back and play with some of those photos and the colors. Doodle in a sketchbook. Make a painting. Make a what do you call them? Those books that you put photos and everything in. Not a photo album, but scrapbook. Put some scrapbooking. Do something creative and listen to some music and separate from the world, because the world is batshit crazy right now. Right. So, anyways, I have to work tomorrow night, but maybe Saturday. I'm not sure if a friend of mine's coming up Saturday or not. But if I don't, I'll be doing this again soon, maybe Sunday night. But I think each night that I have free, I want to take an hour and a half to either make a short video or a short live stream like this. And I had these break videos, but I'm just going to finish up because this isn't long enough. I didn't really plan anything. I just kind of wanted to answer that question. And I feel like I'm missing something else. I feel like I'm not addressing something else. I know that fellow that messaged me, I feel like there was one other thing I was going to talk about. Maybe I might actually. Let me go back to this. Before I go, if you're bored and you're tired and you're watching this, well, there's nobody watching now, but you're watching this on rerun, you can stop it at this point. I am just going to go and look and make sure there was no other things. Oh, that's not showing up on video. I'm subscribed to oh, that's the Carol Burnett channel. I was going to say oh, I forget what they're called. They have a whole lot of TV shows. They run a bunch of live streams of a lot of old TV shows, but this is actually the Carol Burnett show I see coming up on the live stream. So I used to watch that all the time. My dad loved it. iPhone Fold leaked. I have no interest in the iPhone Fold. It just, I don't know. It's a cool idea. I have no interest. I want an iPad, a big iPad that I can draw on. And when I want to do phone stuff, I want something I have in my hand. I don't have to unfold it and do that. And they're going to be super expensive. So, yeah. Yeah, we got how to draw the Marvel way. It's funny because he says it's a kid book, but it's not. When you actually get into the meat and potatoes of this, it's like, oh, it's laid out really colorful in drawings, like comic drawings, like for kids, until you actually start realizing this is just sort of a base outline. Like when you start getting into what's actually going on here, especially when you get into the end, it starts talking about staging. This book, he's scratching the surface, really. It's good to go through it and learn it and read it. But there's some really important stuff in here, especially in staging. Like some of the stuff, comparing a good stage to bad staging, and you learn about all this. There's some really, really important things in here. Look at like using your inking and getting like learning how to compose a shot and making them work and look interesting. There's a lot going on in the inking in this, of where they put the light and shadow. Some really good stuff in here that is not that simplistic. I don't want to make it sound like it's overly complicated, but it is some complicated things that they have simplified. I still recommend this. I really do. Even if you're not doing comics, I still highly recommend that. Um, yeah, I think that was one of the. Do you know I'd lost my original one and I had to rebuy it again? I was so upset. Um, yeah, he was just nervous about getting started. I'm trying to encourage him to not be nervous about it. So right now it's a 5 hour difference. So he's at about 4:48 at the time of this. It's 11:48 here. Um, he says I don't want to say too much about this, but he talks a little about having ADHD. I don't know anyone who doesn't. I probably likely have it. Probably the fact I haven't gotten off here yet is probably a sign that I probably do. I don't care anymore if I do or don't. I just need to do things in my life. You work with it. So, we're all human. So it might help. Sometimes doing something that's like this might help to focus, to stay on it. When you start drawing, stick with it. Even if you feel like it's going bad, just stick with it. And you'll find it will eventually catch. You'll feel like you're doing something, oh, bad drawing, bad drawing, bad drawing, bad drawing. Oh, hey, that one's not bad. And then you look at this drawing and it's still bad drawing. Look at your first bad drawing and wait, this is actually better than this. You realize you've come somewhere. You've gone from somewhere and you're somewhere else and you don't realize you're actually slowly getting better. So, anyways, I am going to shut her down because I want to make another cup of tea. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll be doing this again real soon. I'll be speaking to my friend Enrique, see if we can get Art Block going again.